It's Thursday, the 8th of December 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 big stories today to get through in 5 minutes, so let's jump straight into it. Story number 1, the Aussie economy grew at a near 6% pace for the year ending September 30, showing really just how well it bounced back from the COVID recession despite all those headwinds from other parts of the world.
Yes, it was a pretty good set of numbers from the Bureau of Statistics yesterday, with the economy expanding by 0.6% in September. That's the September quarter, to be 5.9% larger than a year earlier. Now, the main reason for that big discrepancy is we had a boom in the December 2021 quarter. That was the end of lockdowns. The September expansion is right in line with Reserve Bank forecasts. Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers called it a strong result. Now, clearly the economy isn't travelling as quickly as it was last December quarter, and economists don't expect it to accelerate anytime soon, given the recent run of interest rates. Some of the details were really interesting. The national wages bill rose by 3%. That's the fastest pace in more than 15 years. All those savings built up during COVID, well, people are spending them and they're not saving anywhere near as much. Households, though, are spending a lot. Net trade detracted from growth. There was a bigger jump in imports than in exports. Weaker demand for commodities hurt growth, while the construction sector added to the economy. So what's it all mean for rates? Well, probably not a huge amount. The number was a bit shy of consensus among market economists. At the margin, it probably argues against interest rate cuts, but only at the margin. Now, these figures, of course, are backward looking, and the higher interest rates that started in May wouldn't have hit too many people too hard during the September quarter. So it's likely quarterly growth figures going forward will slow down somewhat. And again, market economists still think there's 1 or 2 rate rises in the offing.
Sean, story number 2, the United States will ramp up its military presence here in Australia, saying that it won't leave its Pacific Ocean partner with a capability gap while China is exerting its influence.
That's right. Defence Minister Richard Marles and Foreign Minister Penny Wong met their respective counterparts yesterday at the annual AusMin meetings in Washington. The US praised Australia's stance against China. Now, an official communique noted that there will be an enhanced air cooperation through the rotational deployment of all US aircraft types in Australia. There'll also be aircraft training and exercises. Washington's already been planning to build dedicated facilities for 6 B-52 aircraft south of Darwin, and there'll also be enhanced maritime cooperation. However, there is no firm agreement on allowing US nuclear-powered subcrews to be based in Australia. That's a very touchy point, particularly for China.
Story number 3, Sean, some big numbers in this story. Andrew Forrest's Squadron Energy, which is part of the billionaire's family office, has bought CWP Renewables for an estimated $4 billion, really ramping up competition in the renewables space.
It means Squadron, owned by Andrew Forrest, will take control of wind farms with about 1.1 gigawatts of generation capacity and a large portfolio of other developments. It also has solar power assets, and once everything's up and running, should be able to power 8.5 million homes. Incredible. Forrest is certainly a prophet for renewables, with Fortescue Future Industries developing green hydrogen at a mass scale. Now, Mr. Forrest has become one of the country's largest owners of renewables, and that gives him a seat, or maybe 2, at the table discussing the transition from fossil fuels to renewables. Andrew Forrest will be more powerful than ever.
Sean, story number 4 is kind of along similar lines here, because solar power is set to overtake coal as the world's largest power source by 2027. This is according to the International Energy Agency, but isn't that remarkable? 5 years.
I think it is remarkable. The agency said the war in Ukraine has accelerated the shift to cheaper, clean energy sources such as wind and solar. It says that in Australia, high demand for corporate power purchase agreements will boost renewable capacity by about 85% over the next 5 years. That's huge. Globally, over the next 5 years, renewable energy capacity is likely to double. Of course, put all this together, it's going to go a long way to help limit global warming.
Sean, story number 5. I love this time of year, particularly as a former radio producer, because you used to get all of these cool lists and things coming in. It was really helpful to fill a couple of minutes on a program. Yesterday, we had Google's annual year in search report, and the most typed in word for the year was Wordle.
Yes, and if you don't play Wordle, the game, then you're missing out, clearly. Next was Australian Open, then World Cup, and then Shane Warne, who of course died in March. The top 10 included Ukraine, Ashes, Olivia Newton-John, Ash Barty, Novak Djokovic, and Betty White. They also released the top why is searches. So why is lettuce so expensive came in at number 4, for example. Number 1 was why is Russia invading Ukraine, followed by why is yoga good for females, and 3 was why is petrol so expensive. And just finally on this one, do you know Australians searched when will the rain stop more than any other country?
Yes, it does sound a little bit desperate there, doesn't it?
It does.
Indeed. Now, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 8th of December, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget to check out our other podcast, How Do They Afford That?, which is all about making your money work a bit harder for you. This week's episode is all about how to have the holiday you want without a pile of debt to go with it. It's a cracker. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.